based on our conversation last week, we are being filmed today, and it was a consensus of the group that we would be filmed, which is great, and thank you for being here. And I kind of open it, but I'll let my co-chair, of course, we work on this in tandem, and then I hope we'll go to introductions shortly too, Rick.
No, I have nothing else to add. I think we're ready to move along once we introduce, because we do have some new people, and it's great to see the new faces that are here, and appreciate the ones that were here before coming back. So if we can just start around the room, maybe Meredith, go this way.
Meredith Machen, Legal Voters of New Mexico.
Katie Feldman, Common Cause, New Mexico.
Rob Black, the Association of Commerce and Industry.
Damon Eli, State Representative for District 23.
Pamela Blackwell with New Mexico First, listening a lot today.
I'm John Blair. I'm the Deputy Secretary of State.
Maggie Toulouse Oliver, Secretary of State.
Matthew Baca, and I'll be the analyst for the Rules Committee.
Norm Gagney, with the Judicial Standards Commission, but not here for them, here as a citizen.
Kathleen Sabo, New Mexico Ethics Watch.
Mariana Padilla with Governor-elect's office. Stephanie Keene with the Governor-elect's office.
Diane Goodman, citizen.
Tony Ortiz.
Everybody, okay, good, and welcome.
What about this, because we are getting limited here on time, and I appreciate the discussion, because I think, Debbie, you're right, this needs to come out as to where a lot of this is going. But what I would like to do is, what are we going to do with, we've got Douglas and Tony, who have been just great in putting the different drafts together. Is this basically then, how do you all see it? I mean, I just didn't see this as a bill. I saw it as a menu, that you used a great word there. Is that how you're looking at the next draft, as a menu? And then if that's the case, is there a way to put in there some language that, as a result of numerous discussions or whatever, this is simply reflective of some of the comments that were made, or language like that? Does that appeal to people? Because that way there, you're not tied. I mean, Representative Eli sit through here, and if this went out as, this is the report, then someone would say, well, wait a minute, Representative, you were in those meetings.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think it's fair to anybody on this task force to have, decisions made without decisions having been made. I agree.
Okay, so can we do something like that?
Sure. Could I make a suggestion? It might be good to have I'm going to say cover letter, but it could be more informal, from yourself, Representative, and Senator Lopez, saying that this is a hashing out of a compilation of some hashed out ideas on the Ethics Commission, which can be used as a basis of discussion for the full enabling legislation. That can be kicked. Tony and I can incorporate some of today's discussion into some more options. Then all the advocates, and a lot of it will fall on the advocates who participated in this process, to say that this was discussed and fill in the public on the discussion. Legislators who don't care about the mechanics but care a lot about confidentiality and transparency, will be available through, because it should go actually to the CCJ membership, since this is a working group with CCJ. You can say, well, there's a framework, that addresses all the minor stuff, but doesn't get some of the big stuff, and so it can be shopped out through advocates and through the membership of CCJ to be used as people will. I think it's really a tool as much as
And as I mentioned, though, I think on the very first page of the document, the very last page of the document, we needed to be very clear that this was not a result of vote taking, or whatever language we need to.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer language, so that nobody is themselves individually tied to every word in the document.
Jim, just,
We don't need a blood oath?
what I would do is send this to, I'm going to have to look at it, send it to legislative council. And as we start to develop a bill, at least on the House side, I'll make it very clear that these were kind of issues that were thought out, and that any of the stuff that, on anything, and I try to be good about this, is say, this is me, this isn't anybody else. This is
At that point it is.
Yeah, and I'll just be clear about it, so that I'm not, I don't think that's, I'm with you 100%, I just don't think for somebody to stand up and say, well, this is a result of the task. I'm not doing that. You have my word on that. I won't.
Representative, I did want to add that what's unique about this process versus what other bills might come about is still, it's good to, even though no one's signing their name to every single item, is really emphasizing this many meetings happened, people attended, it was open to the public, press was there, and the strength of this process is the openness. And that this is a way to truly vet something with the lens of the consumer in mind. And so I wouldn't want us to downplay too much of what we did so that it's just like, well, these are some ideas that floated out there. These are really high level, high points that, I know we can't use the term consensus, but maybe common ground, or there was common ground found on a number of items, some of which were these, or however you might, but just really emphasizing the strength of this process versus other legislation that might come forward that did not take into account that consumer lens and people all the way through all this hard work. So that's what I would like to see accentuated in that letter.
You know how we could do this? Is it seems to me the way you could do that is you could do, if you want to do the menu, which I think is a good idea, do a draft, do the menu so that we know where the controversies are, where the disagreements are, and then I will have that with me at all times. I really will. I mean, if I go in and present the ethics bill, I'll have that sitting there. So if somebody says to me, you guys can keep me honest on it. If somebody says to me, well, because I can talk about the task force, but I'm still worried about Jim's point. Because I don't want to get in there and say, gosh, we did this great, it was open and everything else, and everybody goes, oh, well, then they agreed to all this. I want to be able to make it clear, no, I mean, it was a great group, it was, people really got together, but they didn't agree on everything, and this is one of the subjects on which they didn't agree.
Which is important.
Right, yeah.
Maybe
So-
even just italicizing some, in the draft of areas of where we don't, where we don't have kind of working consensus or something like that.
That'd be very helpful to me.
Yeah, I think it really would, because I agree with Pamela. This has been an amazing process, and frankly, I'd like to see this kind of process around a lot of legislation. Whether, we were talking about, extending voter registration or whatever, but having, healthcare, Medicaid expansion. I mean, there are so many areas where, it's helpful to get people who are interested together and hearing, fleshing out ideas. And frankly, I think the most discouraging thing to me, as just talking as an individual here, is the number of bills that are sponsored. And that they, by the time they go through the meat grinder, you're only going to have, an average of like 1/100th of the sponsored legislation. I think of the poor Legislative Council Service never sleeping for 2 months. And, and then having this whole confidentiality. Well, I can't tell you what's in Representative Eli's bill, even though he might be working on something identical to what you're working on, because we've got to keep that confidentiality. Instead of saying, okay, hey, you guys are on the same page, and maybe you don't want to co-sponsor a bill, but how about hashing it out before it gets to the hearing process, the committee hearings, and so on, and, seeing if you can get the best out of the pre-filing, or even, introduction stage, so that, because once it gets into the hearings, and, and then, you can make amendments on different things, or table, or, do pass or whatever, it's too late almost, and there are just too many bills. And so, I frankly am discouraged to hear you say, Representative, that, there are going to be a number of ethics legislative bills.
I didn't actually say that.
It's scary.
This is what's going to happen.
That there are going to be
Substitute
10
bill.
bills.
Rolling all the others into one.
I think I can give you a better idea then. So
I hope you can.
the only reason that I've been here the last 2 meetings is because I didn't know I was even working on this until a month and a half ago. So I thought I better start showing up at meetings. So I suspect there will be one bill coming out of the House.
Good.
That is what I would expect.
Good.
And then we get get to the Senate, and as I explain to people,
This is
that
the
is a
Senate.
dark hole to me.
This is the Senate.
So that's why I like this process, because I get to hear it, but I think, I also, I want to be fair with everybody and say, I'm not going to make representations that people, were all on board. And we had a crime task force, for example, where everybody got to vote. I mean, everybody was in the room, everybody got to vote, everybody was on board. I get to go out and say, this is the crime task force, everybody's on board. That's not this group, this is more of a consensus group. And if we haven't reached consensus, I won't do that.
And Senator Worth, when he brought up the idea of this subgroup, he basically said that what he was hoping would be the result is that it would allow folks to be able to interact and chat so that we're not waiting until January 15th to begin that communication process. And that was his intent when he was suggesting the subgroup. And I think we have met that and fulfilled the intent. And I like Pamela's comments about how it does mean a lot to be able to say that is more than just sort of getting together and beating our gums about certain subjects. So I really appreciate everyone being here. I think everybody has had a different area to have input in, and I think it's been wonderful. And I thoroughly appreciate Damon, you being here, because I think that it also saves you a great deal of time with some of the discussions, but also gives you a flavor and feel, and I think it was great that you were able to attend these two meetings, frankly. And so, anything else
Yes.
before we go?
I do not want to leave this room without thanking you.
Yes.
On behalf of all of the members here, I've only been to 2 meetings, on behalf of all the members here, but also on behalf of all the people who have been advocating and talking about an ethics commission for a long time, maybe 20 years in my memory. And I want to say we would never have gotten this far without you.
Well, thank you very much.
And that is a remarkable.
We had a lot of help by almost everybody in this room. And so it's, I've always been a team player, but I do appreciate that, Dee Dee, very much. And I think what it was, the time was right, the group was right, getting together. I know that Common Cause came to me very early to discuss this through Heather and Vicki and Deborah, and that then it just sort of built up with some momentum, and it's something that's important, and I'm glad that we've all been able to get together and discuss the importance of it. So again, thank you all, and have a good holiday season. Thanks.
Thank you.